I'm Dan Wolf. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow marks 5 years since an explosion at Superior's Husky Oil Refinery ignited chaos. Back on April 26, 2018, 36 people were hurt and thousands fled Superior as that massive black plume of smoke billowed from the facility for nearly 9 hours. A lot has changed in the years since. Most notably, Husky was acquired by Canadian-based Cenovus Energy in 2021, and the refinery was rebuilt. As Northern News Now's Larissa Millis reports, Husky also forever changed the way our firefighters train and respond.
5 years after the Superior Refinery explosion and fire, Cenovus leaders say safety is key as they prepare to reopen.
We have done a lot of upgrades to equipment, to processes, to training, to ensure that we're ready to go.
One of the focuses of the $1.2 billion rebuild has been ensuring safety around the highly toxic chemical compound hydrogen fluoride, also known as HF.
As we work to restart the refinery, and we look at the HF unit, when we reflect on HF has been safely used at the refinery for about 60 years.
Following the explosion, some community members had concerns about potential exposure to HF if something were to happen again. Cenovus says safety improvements have been made on the refinery's HF tank, including double-sealed pumps and a color-changing feature that alerts detection of any leaks. In addition to safety improvements inside the refinery, Cenovus is continuing partnerships with the community, like the Superior Fire Department.
We haven't been sitting on our hands for the last 5 years as the facility's been getting rebuilt. We've been continuing our training and partnership to make sure our responders are ready if an incident would happen at that facility or any other facility in the city of Superior.
Superior Fire Chief Cameron Volbrecht and 3 other firefighters from SFD are currently in Texas receiving specialized industrial training inside a refinery for oil, fuel, and gasoline fires, all paid for by Cenovus. Volbrecht says the partnership with Cenovus helped quicken response time in 2018.
We were prepared to respond to that incident, and the response to that incident went fairly well. The incident was handled in a matter of a few hours versus days as we originally thought because of the size of the incident.
Cenovus says while the rebuild has taken some time, the payoff in improved safety and commerce will be worth it.
The impact to the economy as a result of the restart will be substantial.
When the refinery reopens, nearly 350 people will be employed, amounting to an annual payroll of more than $30 million. In Superior, Larissa Millis, Northern News Now.
The refinery was not operating at all during the rebuild, but the permanent workforce was still employed. As Cenovus says, they've added more permanent positions, and tomorrow the company will announce the date of the refinery's official reopening.